Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be covering how you can create a 100% automated Twitter marketing assistant using make.com and openAI so that you can feed your assistant information about your service, brand, app, whatever it is, and it will create tweets for you, post them for you, create images for you without needing any input from you. So this means that you can create this, set it and forget it, and you will have someone tweeting about your business and your brand as much as you would like throughout the day. So you don't need to write the tweets. You don't need to give it the ideas for the tweets. This is 100% automated using make.com and some of our additional capabilities here. So let's jump right into it. So we're going to need a few things to get started. The first thing is that we're going to need a make.com account. Make.com is what you're looking at right here. This is where we're going to automate all of this process. I will provide a link in the description below that you can go in and create a completely free make.com account. Make.com is free up to 2 scenarios or automations. If you want to have more than 2 automations running, you will need to have a paid plan. It's pretty cheap. It's like $10 a month. That's the one I have. I think it's worth it. I have multiple different marketing automations that I will create more videos apart where I 100% automate everything about my app's marketing leveraging Make. So to recap, the first step is that we need a make.com process. Now, once we get logged into make.com, you're going to go in under scenarios here, and we're going to go into scenarios. You're going to go to create new scenario. Once you click create new scenario, you're going to be taken to this mural UI, whatever you want to call it. Now, first you want to give your scenario a name. I'm going to call this Twitter marketing for YouTube video. And then it will save it up here. Now, once that's done, the first thing that we're going to want to do is using this plus button, we can add in different source elements to this automation. And I want you all to know that like terms like automation, AI, elements, blah, 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 sounds complicated, but make.com makes it really easy. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So the first thing that we're going to need to do, now that we have our make.com account, is we're going to need an openAI API account. This is different than ChatGPT. This is the company behind ChatGPT, but I will put a link in the description below. You will need to sign up and create an account and then fund your API account there on OpenAI. What this looks like is that you will go to platform.openai.com. You will get your API keys. I'm obviously not going to show mine here, and you will create a new API key. Once that's done, you will then have your key, which you will put into what we're going to do next. You will also need to put in your credit card at some point here, and put like $5, $10 in. OpenAI's API is not expensive. You will be able to create many, many tweets for $5. The expensive part of this process, relatively speaking, will be the image generation, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to OpenAI. You can type into the search bar here, OpenAI, and it will pull up our OpenAI endpoint. And so I'll click that. And the first thing we're going to click here is Message and Assistant. So what is Messaging and Assistant? Messaging and Assistant is a custom prompt that you will set up in OpenAI that has certain instructions and examples of what you're looking to do. And for today's video, we're going to be setting up a 100% automated Twitter marketing assistant that you're going to customize to your application so that when we call this endpoint here, it will generate a tweet based upon the instructions you have, and then we will do more with it from that. So the first thing you're going to need to do after you select your OpenAI Dropbox here is you're going to need to create your connection. This is where I've already created mine. Once that's done and it's established the connection, make.com's really good about like making that super quick. You now will then go in and you will put in your message. So what is the message? In this example here, all of the instructions for our automated bot will actually be in our assistant. So why don't we just go right there? What is our assistant? You access assistants by going to platform.openai.com after you've set up your account, and you go to the Assistants tab here. Now, under the Assistants tab, you create what are essentially automated prompts that can be called by certain applications that do certain things. You'll see here I've got bots, for lack of a better term, that create posts for Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. And here is my Twitter marketing bot YouTube prompt here. Now you will give it a name here. So why don't we just go from scratch here? So first we'll go up, we'll hit create for assistant, and then we'll call this one Twitter marketing for YouTube. And then under the instructions, this is what essentially will be a self-contained list of instructions for your bot. Now, I have a templated set of instructions that you can grab from my Patreon that you can copy and paste in here and then just work with for your brand. Maybe give a few examples of what your brand is. You can copy and paste and move on right to the next step. You can grab that from my Patreon. Link will be in the description below. When you're setting up your instructions, there's a few key things that you're going to want to say. Essentially, what you're saying is that you are a Twitter marketing expert. You will write a tweet based on the following instructions. And then what you will do from there is put in your instructions for this Twitter marketing assistant. If your application is, maybe you are a creative agency or you are some type of consultant, maybe you have a B2B or B2C app, or maybe it's just your YouTube channel or your Twitter, whatever it is, you will put instructions about what the tweet should be about. And then also what's important is that you want to give best practices of like what tweets look like. So you may write things like, here are some examples of good tweets. And then you would fill in some examples of like what you think a good tweet is about your brand. Once again, there are examples in my template on my Patreon. Now, a couple more things you're going to want to put in here as you build this out. You're going to want to specify the length of characters in the tweets. Tweets can be no longer than 280 characters. That's important because if it generates a tweet that's longer than 280 characters, it's going to be too long and it will break the automation. So you're going to want to stress that probably multiple times in the prompt. I have done that in my own that you can use. Now, another thing that you may want to do is you're going to want to say that inspires interaction, engagement, use popular hashtags to increase visibility. These are the types of things that you can put in here. Now, the next thing we're going to do, so we're saying what assistant we're messaging. So here I'm going to select my Twitter marketing bot YouTube. So this message will go to my assistant. Now for the message, given that we want this marketing workflow here to be 100% automated. We don't want us to have to, in some of the other workflows I will create videos on, you start off by putting something into a Google document or an Excel sheet or a Slack thread, and that will kick off this automation. There needs to be some type of input in order for the automation to start. So here under message, we are going to select, we're going to go to this calendar feature here, and I'm going to select now. And the message that you will send over to your assistant is just simply going to be the time under which the automation runs. So we're going to specify this automation to run. If you look down here under this run once button, we can schedule the setting for how often we want this to run. I'm going to have this run every 3 hours. I'm going to say 180 minutes. So every 180 minutes, what's going to happen? Or every 3 hours, we are going to ping this assistant that we've set up here with the current time of when the automation needs to run. So that is how we keep this all 100% self-contained without no need for any type of outside input. And I've had this running for my application for like 3 or 4 weeks now, and it's just constantly creating tweets. I have mine set to run every 8 hours, I believe, and it creates a great tweet. And the next part we're going to do now is generate an image. So once that's done, we've now set up the first task in our make.com. So for summary here, we are messaging that assistant that we set up in openAI. We're going to message it every 3 hours, and it's just going to send as our message to kick off the workflow is just the current time. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we'd want to generate an image for our tweet. We want to increase as much engagement as possible. So we go in now and we go to openAI again, and this time we go to generate an image. Now, the next thing we'll do is, okay, we're going to use that same connection. The great thing about the openAI API is that we can call all of the models through our one API key. So we can use the same API key that we use for our message assistant to generate the image as well. So I'm going to go to Dreamforge, my openAI connection, and I'm going to, you can select which model do you want to use. Now, here's the kicker here. Here's the things that you want to consider. DALL-E 3 will generate the best image. It's the smarter of the two models. It'll generate better images. It's more expensive. It's around, for the image size that we will denote in this automation, 8 cents per image. DALL-E 2 is cheaper, generates lower quality images that kind of look like a third grader's art sometimes. They're pretty bad. Probably with instructions, you could make them better. It's something I plan to work on eventually just to cut costs down. However, at this moment, I haven't really experimented with it much, so I use DALL-E 3. Now, there's a world to where, not in subject for this video, but there's probably other image generation services that you could use that are cheaper, maybe even better here, leveraging make.com. We're going to keep it all on openAI for right now for simplicity, but you can use what you'd like. So anyway, for summary, we're generating our tweet. Now we're calling the image, and now we need to tell it what to do. Our prompt here is generate a 1080 by 1080 image that will be used to promote engagement with this tweet. Avoid using text in the image and focus on creating a compelling image devoid of text that inspires engagement with the post. Now, what I mean by that is that if we go and look at my Twitter feed, DALL-E has a tendency to like generate images before I kind of started tweaking this that look like this, to where, you know, the image is great, right? But like, what is all this gibberish? It's like kind of talking about how my app helps you create a digital companion, but like, what's going on here? Like the image is great, but the text is kind of weird. It looks strange. I think it kind of scares people off a little bit. So you want to create specific instructions within our prompt here to say, hey, stop using text in the image. Focus on just creating a compelling image devoid of text. And that will help, if you'll notice from there, it kind of stopped doing that, and it's more so just focusing on the image. Now, you can really play around with this to try and get like the best possible image. It's an exercise of time. I will put this prompt in the description so that you can use this in your own automation. But just one thing I've learned. Now, we need to tell it what tweet it's making up. It's like, okay, so we're saying we'll generate a 1080 by 1080 image that will be used to promote this tweet. What tweet are we talking about? So we'll go down, we'll select here. One of the cool things about make.com is that we can grab outputs of previous steps here. So I can go to, okay, I click into this box, I go down to content, I click into content, I click into text, and I click into value. And you're gonna want to say content, text, value. Sometimes when you click into it, you're gonna wanna expand the menu and choose content, text, value. Don't click text, then content, then it'll pull all of them. It'll make it messy. Click the menus down to where you get to value. Click it once. It will pull in both variables that you need. So essentially what we're saying here is that generate an image that will be used to promote this tweet. Here is the tweet, the output of the first step. You'll see when I hover over this, my first step starts buzzing or bulging, whatever you want to call that. And that's because that's where the output's coming from. So this is dynamic. We don't need to like type the tweet in. It will always be different depending upon the tweet that is generated. And I'm going to change this little period here to a colon. Okay, so for summary, we've generated our tweet. Now we're generating an image for it. Great. The next thing that we need to do is we need to use an HTTP step to put to get the image into a URL, or for lack of a better term, every time openAI's image generation module, DALL-E, generates an image, it's hosted externally at a URL for a couple hours, which is how you access the image. So we want to grab that file and download it essentially. So we're saying, okay, we want to get the output of our data here and the URL, and we're going to get that in the form of a file. Next, and that's all you got to do there, that is to set us up for our Twitter automation. Okay, now Twitter is where this gets slightly more fun or complicated depending upon how you like to do this. But luckily for you all, I went through the pain of figuring this out, so it's all here in the video. So we've created our tweet, we've generated the image, we've gotten the URL for that image, and we're ready to use it in Twitter. Now we need to set up two things. First, we need to set up, because Twitter is special, we need to set up two different types of Twitter. Now, when you click Twitter or X, you're going to notice here, when you pull it up from our little drop down here, there is a V6 and a V5 in the top right. because of changes to Twitter, we can't just do one post with the image. We need to have two steps. We need to first use the V5 integration to upload a media. Then we need to use the V6 integration to post the media. So here's the first thing. When you set up your V5 connection, so let's first talk about how we set these things up. I'm going to pull them both in. You'll see this one is V5. Now this one that posts the tweet, I'm going to use V6, and I'm going to say create a post. Okay, so once again, we've set up two things. We've got upload media. That's going to upload our picture, and then we're going to create a post. So we have two different integrations to Twitter. We have the V5 and we have the V6. When we go in and create our V5 connection, there's a couple things that you're first going to need to do. First off, you're going to need a Twitter account, and more so along that, you're going to need to go to twitterdevelopers.com or developer.twitter.com, and you're going to need to create an account there. There's a little bit of a setup process. You have to give it a paragraph as to why you want to get a Twitter developer account. I will put a link in the description below to the Twitter developer account. Once you have done that, you are taken to this page, and you're going to need to do a few things. First off, in order to use the V5 connector, we're first going to need to go in, which remember, V5 is uploading our image, V6 is posting the tweet and the image together. You can't do it both with just one, unfortunately. Maybe in the future that'll change, but as May 13th of 2024, this is just how it works. So the first thing you need to do is you'll probably get taken to a dashboard that kind of looks like this. You only need the free plan to do this. You do not need a paid plan to do this on Twitter. You're going to click into your projects and apps. You're going to go to your project ID here, and you're going to go to use your authentication settings. Now, once you're there, there's a couple things you're going to have to fill out. First, you're going to need to select read and write and direct message permissions. The type of app, you're going to need to select web app, automated app, or bot. And for your app info, what you're going to do is this may already be there for you if you already tried to integrate and did it successfully. If not, you need to paste this URL, which I will put into the description below. This will allow you to use both the V5 and V6 versions of this connection. So that's all you need to do here. Once that's set up for V5, you're going to need to use the API key and API secret key to set up the connection in make.com. So when you add a connection here, you'll see here, the connection name, it'll try to automatically create the connection. And at that point for a V5 connection, you are going to need to go into your Twitter developer account. You're going to need to go back to your keys and tokens, and you are going to need to grab your API key and secret and fill that out, and that will establish your V5 connection. Now, once that's done, and you've done all that, you will then need to go into, and one more thing I'll call out here. If you already, let's say you already set up the connection to Twitter in a different automation, or you hit it once and it's already there, you need to make sure that under your user authentication settings, that your website URL, it'll have a 2 after the Twitter. You need to delete that 2 so it just has the URL with Twitter at the end. That's so that you can use both the V5 and V6 endpoints. So a little fun tidbit for you all with all this great Twitter stuff. Okay, now once that's done, we've set up our V5 connection. So what we want to do is we're uploading our media. So we're going to go to attachments here. We're going to go to, I'm going to close out of this. We're going to go to add item, and we're going to go to this HTTP get a file. So what we're doing is we are taking the output of this, and we are now going and we're putting this and uploading that as a media file into Twitter. So generated the tweet, generated the image for the tweet, got the location of the file via the URL. We've uploaded that picture to Twitter, and now we need to create the post. So under here, this is where it gets fun. So under here, the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to say, what is the text content of the tweet? Well, if we remember, the text content for the tweet was actually created in step 1, which was our text.value. So this is the tweet that was created. We're going to use that as the text content for our tweet. Next, I'll check advanced settings. The media ID is going to come from our second step. I'll go to media ID. Boom, there it is in our media ID. So the media ID is our picture. So it's knowing that picture that we uploaded to Twitter. We now know what's what. So in summary, the automation that we've created, we've generated our tweet. We've created an image for the tweet. We've gotten the location for that tweet. We've uploaded the picture to Twitter using the V5 connection. And then using the V6 connection, we've created the post for Twitter, where we have given the text content of the post. You'll see that. You'll hit OK. And then you are set up with a 100% automated Twitter bot. Now, what you can do to test it is you can run it once. Now, I have a smaller, I'm not working with like 1 million followers. So I just test my tweets and see what they look like on Twitter. You could put another step here that takes it to a Google document. I'm not going to show that here if you wanted to preview your tweets. However, this is just going to post directly to Twitter. And I'll pull in an automation that I have running right now, and I'll show you what it looks like running live. So this is the exact same thing, just using my template. So let's go ahead and do a tweet right now. So I'll click run once. You'll see it's going to, first it's generating that tweet. It's messaging the assistant and saying, okay, what kind of tweet am I looking for? What are we supposed to do? And it's writing the tweet right now. Great. Now the output of that tweet is being sent to Dolly. It's saying, okay, based upon the tweet and the prompt here, let's generate an image for that tweet. Great. It's running in, calculating it, generating an image that will go alongside that tweet that you can then use to post online. Now, next, what we're doing is we've now put that file, we've now uploaded that file to Twitter. And now we're going to, I have a wait step in my workflow to where I waited 60 seconds. Now this is actually something that I should remove from this workflow. Ignore this. I was having issues with an error here between file upload and posting of the tweet, which I found was because it was creating tweets that were too long. And there was resulting in errors. And you will go down a rabbit hole if the tweets that you are generated are longer than 280 characters. You'll be like, what's the error? What's going wrong? I don't understand. It just says invalid parameter. That happens. Check how I'll actually show you what that looks like as this posts to Twitter. So as this runs, if you run into errors with your, I'm going to save my changes here. We'll save. If you run into errors, I'm going to go to my 100% Twitter automated flow. We'll click on, you can view the output as to like, what's my history, and I'll show you I had some errors here. So I'll go to my error, go to the details of the error, and you'll be able to see kind of like what went to what. So like, if I want to click in and look at like what was generated, you'll see here's the tweet that got generated right there. Next, you can see, okay, well, like what picture did it come up with? So where was the error? It got uploaded fine. It waited those 60 seconds fine. This was a step I added. I thought it might have just been posting too quickly. Nope. It was because this tweet that it was writing was over 280 characters. So when it actually went to go get posted on Twitter, it was resulting in this invalid request. That's because the tweet was just too long. So in the prompt that I have for you that you can grab from my Patreon, I've reinforced multiple times, do not write long tweets, as well as added in a ton of other flexibility so that it can just be creative and do what it needs to do. So let's see if my process is done here. Yep. So we've now gone in, it created the tweet, created the image for the tweet, put the tweet into a file, uploaded that file to Twitter, and then it posted to Twitter. Let's see what it looks like, the tweet that it came up with. Boom. This is the tweet. This is just right now. This has certain things about my application and an image that goes right with it, and a tweet that it wrote with some hashtags as well as a call to action to go to my website. So, guys, in summary, this really, automations like these let you not need to, when I first, this is kind of a little bit of a monologue here. I spent a long time working on my app, and when it came time to start marketing, I have a day job, right? Like I work, and then it's like I work on this after work, and it's tiring sometimes. And like trying to, when you think about shifting from like a development to a marketing perspective, marketing's like, you need to do it every day. And if you need to come on and think about a tweet, maybe you're not feeling creative, you need to like then what are you going to do? Go into Photoshop and generate an image? Like, everyone is marketers as well as like entrepreneurs. We need to embrace AI in the sense that there are a lot of things that can help save us a lot of time. And things like just promoting yourself across Twitter, across multiple different channels can be automated so that we don't need to even think about it anymore. And this is incredibly powerful and allows me to focus more on work, focus more on, being a person, I guess. I don't even know. So anyone, I hope this video was helpful for that prompt, as well as some other prompts as I create more videos. Patreon below, only $5 a month, as well as go in and get yourself some good information. Regardless, I want to thank everyone for watching today. Please like and subscribe. Lots more exciting AI related automation, filmmaking, just a ton of cool stuff happening in the world today. It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be excited. So with that said, hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Peace.